So when is an emergency not an emergency? Well, this one is going to kind of develop into a not an emergency, but it really is. And it has a lot of intrigue. It's got a lot of language barriers, and it all takes place in good old New York City. Let's watch.
Good morning, 54 Mike, Limo taking from 2,000 to 5,000.
Okay, the aircraft in question here is Turkish 4 Mike Lima. They're on their way from Kennedy to Istanbul, and they are flying out in a 787, and for some reason, their landing gear will not retract. All right, so that's not an emergency. The landing gear is supposed to retract, but if it doesn't, it's still down. So the airplane still flies fine. It would be the same configuration that you would have if you were coming in to land. So are they going to declare an emergency or aren't they? What I'm curious about here is how long it takes them to tell anybody that the landing gear won't come up, because the landing gear is supposed to come up at about, 50 feet off the runway. As soon as we rotate and we get positive rate, my co-pilot says, positive rate, I say gear up, and he raises a gear. And it takes about, maybe another 8 seconds for the gear to come up and lock. And within 15 seconds of rotate, it's all over. Well, let's see how long this plays out.
5.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima, heavy New York radar contact. Good morning. Climb and maintain 1,000.
Maintain 1,000, Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
Okay, so they've been cleared to 11,000 feet. They're tooling out.
4 Mike Lima, heavy, turn left heading 050.
Left heading 050, Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
At this point, they're at 3,600 feet. They've been given a heading. I can tell you 3,600 feet is an eternity with the gear down. First of all, it's a tremendous amount of drag out there. You got all sorts of power up. You can't bring your flaps up until you get the gear up. And in addition to that, it makes a tremendous amount of noise. It is super loud in that cockpit as you're gaining speed and the gear remains down. So the crew is trying to get the gear to come up. We don't know what the problem is. Let's see if we find out.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima, heavy, what's your speed?
Now, speed 190.
Okay, so now Kennedy has asked them a couple of times about stuff, and one of them is, what's your speed? Now, at this point, climbing through almost 5,000 feet, they should be at 250 knots. The average airspeed, or the airspeed that's required below 10,000 feet is 250 knots. At this point, they should have already accelerated to that, and air traffic control knows that. Why? Because they've got airplanes coming behind them. So if these guys are going slow, they're going to bog down the system. He asks him what his airspeed is. He doesn't give him any amplifying information. He just says 190.
You got to pick it up to 250. There's jets behind you.
No answer. You got to pick it up to 250. There's jets behind you, and then silence.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima, heavy, did you?
Kennedy departure Turkish 4 Mike Lima. We have a slight problem about landing gear, so request holding over available points.
Okay, so now we're at 5,500 feet already. This has been going on for an eternity as far as the gear being down. The guy has called him a couple of times, asked him about their airspeed, told him 250 knots. They have airplanes behind them. And now for the first time you hear, and I think it's the co-pilot probably, it could be the captain chiming in at this point, a small problem about the landing gear. So request holding over an available point. And she doesn't have one. She's hoping that he'll give her one.
You're requesting what?
Requesting holding over available point, Turkish 4 Mike Lima. Probably we will turn back to Kennedy.
Because he's starting to give their intentions. Probably will turn back to Kennedy. I imagine that they're trying to get the gear to come up. And there's a little gear handle in a 787. You just grab it and you lift it up into place and the gear automatically come up. If for some reason that handle won't go into the up position, there's also a button that you can override it with to bring it up. Usually that override is for down, but you can use it for both. And it may be that there's a problem with the handle itself. There's a couple of different ways. I'm sure they've tried all of the different little quick remedies to get the gear to come up, and it's just simply staying down. I'll give you the reason I think it stayed down in a minute, but let's see how they handle this. They've asked for holding, and they might want to turn back to Kennedy. Let's see what's next.
Okay, Turkish 4 Mike Lima, heavy, amend your altitude. Maintain 7,000. Make a right turn, heading 180.
Heading 180 and maintain, climb and maintain 7,000, Turkish 4 Mike Lima. We will call you for further information.
Okay, so they're going to turn and climb, and I'll call you with further information.
Mike Lima Heavy, what's going on?
Now we will call the company for about the sailors. I will call you further information, Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
Okay, so they're kind of keeping it sort of their cards close to their vest at this point. They're not. All she said is we have some sort of landing gear problem, and he says, "What's the nature of your problem?" She hasn't declared an emergency, and again, this is a gray area. Do you declare an emergency for the landing gear that stays down? Now, if the landing gear comes up but won't come down, absolutely that's an emergency. But if it stays down, well, that's how you normally land anyway. So they're probably debating whether this is a pan or a mayday or nothing at all. They're going to want to talk to their dispatch. They want to talk to the maintenance folks at their company, and that's what she's communicating to him right now.
Can hold over available points.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, okay. Make a right turn now, heading 040.
Make a right turn, heading 040, Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
So he's not really going to give him holding. He's just going to kind of keep giving him vectors.
4 Mike Lima Heavy, you can start present position, hold there. Standard legs, 7,000. Let me know what's going on. When you know.
So what's a present position hold? There's a little button on my mode control panel that I can push that says present position. And if I hit that, actually I think it's down on my FMC box. If I hit present position, it'll hold the airplane right at my present position. And it just builds a holding pattern with right-hand turns, and it stops right there. So any place on the planet that I want to, I can just hit that button, and it gives me a right-hand turn. So he's told her, hold present position 7,000 feet, and let me know what's going on when you can.
I will call for further information. Will maintain 7,000 and holding over present position, Turkish 4 Mike Lima. Confirm via right turn.
Confirm what? I'm sorry.
Confirm via right turn in turning in holding Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
With right turns, I think that's what you're asking. Maintain 7,000 for now.
Right-hand turns.
Maintain 7,000. Make a right turn. Holding over present position, Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
So right-hand turns is a standard holding pattern around the whole planet, right-hand turns. She's just trying to clarify that. But if somebody tells you to hold present position, it's implied right-hand turns because that's standard. Every once in a while, there's a holding pattern with a left-hand turn, but it'll be published that way. This is a present position hold. So they hold for a little bit, kind of go out, troubleshooting.
Mike Lima Heavy, can you describe the problem right now?
We are talking with the company. Probably we will need fuel jettison. After that, we will request core landing to come back to Kennedy Airport.
So he asked her, can you describe to me the nature of your problem? She gave him their intentions. We're talking to company right now. We're probably going to have to dump fuel jettison, and we're requesting to come back to Kennedy. Well, that's all good information. That's not what he asked for. They're going to get to that eventually anyway, so she just gave it to him. He still doesn't really know what the nature of the problem is. They're having to try to pull it out of them. You know, what is going on with your airplane?
Okay, I just need to let the tower know, and when you get a chance, I need a little more information.
What's
tell me
going
when
on?
You can exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, Turkish 4 Mike Lima. I will give you further information in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Wait, just tell them your landing gear's down and won't come up. Okay, I don't know why they're not telling them. This is dumbfounding to me.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Still tooling around for quite some time with the gear down.
Departure Turkish 4 Mike Lima.
Is this it? Is this the big moment? And now a quick word from our sponsor. When people talk to me about flying, the number one fear I hear isn't takeoffs or landings, it's turbulence. Those unexpected bumps and drops create a lot of anxiety, and most of that fear comes from not knowing what's ahead. That's where today's sponsor, Turbulence Forecast, really helps. The app makes it easy to see turbulence maps that show you exactly where the rough air is likely to be. And if you don't feel like digging into the charts, you don't have to. Just plug in your flight details and the app builds a forecast for your exact route, sending you updates before your trip so you know what to expect. For frequent flyers or anyone who likes to plan further in advance, there's also the Navigator tier that lets you see conditions up to 5 days ahead. That's huge if you want to choose the smoothest flight possible or just ease your mind before stepping on board. At the end of the day, turbulence doesn't have to be a mystery. With Turbulence Forecast, you can replace fear of the unknown with peace of mind about your journey. So check out the link in the description below or download the app to get started. And a very special thanks to Turbulence Forecast for sponsoring today's video. Sponsors like this help us to make more content for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, we will need fuel jettison. It will take approximately 20 to 25 minutes. And total passengers is 225 plus 15. So we don't have any dangerous foods. Request fuel jettison during holding.
Okay, again, there's a little bit of a language barrier here. I get all that. Most everything out of this crew so far has been non-standard. All right, you've heard 100 times on this channel. When you give the passenger count, when you tell them how many people are on the airplane, you do it in terms of souls on board. This is the reason that you don't do it this way. She says total passengers is 225 plus 16. Oh, wait, no, sorry, 15. All right, so I just heard 3 numbers. I'm writing them down. Now I'm crossing one out. Now I got to do math, right? Why don't you just give the total souls on board? That's why we say it in that standard phraseology. Total souls on board would be 240, not the convoluted answer that she just gave. And he's been asking over and over again, what is the problem? The tower wants to know what is the problem. And she gives him their intentions. I'm going to jettison fuel. Still hasn't answered the question. I get it. There's a language barrier, but again, you have to be English proficient and at least answer the question that's being asked. It's not a complicated question.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, I'm sorry. Say the souls on board.
Souls on board, one more time.
Total is 240.
Yay, thank you. Souls on board,
Okay,
240.
and
Should have said that the
remaining?
first time.
Just a second.
Just a second.
Departure Turkish 4 maximum after landing. Remaining fuel will be 30.8 kilograms.
She gives it to me
30.8,
kilograms.
okay,
That's fine.
For maximum?
You need to hold and burn fuel for a while, is that what you said?
Yeah, during holding, we need fuel jettison Turkish 4 maximum.
This crew is totally focused on this fuel jettison, the dumping of the fuel. So many times they're going to talk about the fuel jettison as though, well, I'm sure they've never done it before, but fuel jettison is like one of the simplest procedures that we have. It's a short checklist with like 3 items on it. You open up the jettison valves and you hit the pump and fuel goes out. On a 787, it monitors how much fuel is going to go out and it even gives you a little countdown clock to what level you're going to go down to, how many pounds you're going to have remaining, and how long it's going to take you to get there. It's all just laid out for you. It's pretty simple. But again, they're focused, they're fixating on the fuel jettison, which is, it could potentially be a problem.
Turkish 4 maximum, did you copy the information?
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, what you need to hold to burn fuel? Say it again, please.
Now, we are holding present position via right turn and request fuel jettison during holding. Turkish 4 maximum.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward. We're making right-hand turns. We're requesting fuel jettison during holding.
Okay, roger that. And 1 second.
Turkish 4 maximum. You are blocked. Say again, please, Turkish 4 maximum.
What is the nature of your emergency? What's going on?
Okay, is this the 4th or 5th time he's asked, what's the nature of the emergency? What's going on? I think it's the 5th, but maybe you kept a better count than I did.
We have landing gear problem. Landing gear, we cannot reset the landing gear, Turkish 4 maximum.
They're finally, all right, how far into this are we? And they finally, for the first time, say we can't retract the landing gear. They should have said that at about 500 feet climbing out. Hey, we can't retract the landing gear. I'll get back to you. But it's taken them this long. I mean, 8, 9, 10 minutes into this whole thing. They're finally getting around to it.
Okay, roger.
Are we clear for fuel dumping during holding Turkish 4 maximum?
You need what? I'm sorry?
Fuel dumping.
Ah.
Rocket fuel dumping during closing. Turkish.
Yes, that is approved as requested.
Okay, approved as requested. Now, how many times have they talked about the fuel dump? Approved as requested. Here we go. There's going to be more.
Request fuel dumping.
He just said approved as requested. Request fuel dumping, she says.
Approved. Approved as requested.
Approved as requested.
Turkish 4 maxima.
We're not done yet. Here we go. All right, they're in holding.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy. You can continue the fuel dumping. Continue your right turn also. Heading at 180.
Now, he's under the understanding that he approved, not once, but twice, their fuel dump. And that since they've requested fuel dumping so many times, that they've started the fuel dump. They haven't even gotten to that yet. All right, here we go.
20 right turn, heading 180, Turkish 4 maxima.
Okay, turn to 180. We got that part. Good.
Turkish 4 maxima, we haven't started fuel dumping yet, so we are waiting for clearance. Now turning right, heading 180.
Waiting for the clearance. He's given it to her twice. All right. They haven't started fuel dump because she's waiting for him to say you're cleared to fuel dump. He's approved it twice.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy. Okay, just fly heading 180, and you can proceed with the fuel dumping at any time you'd like. When you're ready to come back into Kennedy, it's going to be runway 4 left, ILS runway 4 left.
I think this guy is great. This is very uncharacteristic for New York. These guys are short-tempered in New York. This guy is eminently patient. He must have a lot of children because he's very patient, very monotone with her, doesn't lose his cool. Great guy, very professional. I love it.
Equally for approach, ILS 4 left, Turkish 4 maxima. Thank you, now we are starting.
Okay, now we're starting. Here we go. They're going to head south for a little bit.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, turn right heading 220.
Turn right heading 220, Turkish 4 maxima.
Okay. Now they need a fuel dump to get
Turkish
lighter
4
to
Mike
land.
Lima Heavy, change of plans. When you are able to come in to Kennedy again, it's going to be runway 31 left.
Change your runway.
Runway 31 left. Confirm, Turkish 4 maxima.
That is confirmed. Runway 31 left.
Runway 31 left, copy, Turkish 4 maxima. We call you ready for approach. Thank you.
Okay, that makes for more work in the cockpit because they have to change the approach now in the computer. So
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, how long do you think you'll have to hold to be delayed for the fuel dumping?
Okay.
About Turkish 4 maxima.
Approximately how long do you need before you can start making your way back into Kennedy?
Approximately we need 5 minutes. After that, we will request our director for approach for runway 31 at Turkish 4 maxima.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, okay, make a right turn now heading 040.
Make right turn heading 040, Turkish 4 maxima.
So everybody's get their timing and their sequencing right. 5 minutes to end the fuel dump, and then they can start the approach. He's going to bring him back to the north.
Turn right, heading 180.
Then he's going to bring him back down to the south.
Turkish 4 maxima.
All right, this is kind of like a made-up holding pattern for them while they get done with the fuel dumping. Right about now, they should be done.
Heavy, turn right, heading 220.
Turn right heading 220, Turkish 4 maxima.
All right, and now he's going to get ready to sequence them in for approach
Turkish 4
and
Mike Lima
landing.
Heavy, turn right, heading 050.
Turn right heading 050, Turkish 4 maxima.
Okay, so far so good.
Before approach.
Ready for the approach.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, you said you're ready for the approach?
Affirmative, we are ready for approach runway 31 at Turkish 4 maxima.
Okay, roger that. Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, descend, maintain at 3000.
Turkish 4 maxima.
Okay, so they get headed back into Kennedy here. They get set up for the approach.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, can you do a visual approach to runway 31
I was
left?
going to say no.
Radar vector runway 31 left, Turkish 4 maxima.
What he says? Language
Say it
barrier.
again, please.
Yep.
GPS radar vector and ILS approach runway 31 left, Turkish 4 maxima.
Turkish 4 Mike Lima Heavy, okay. Expect ILS runway 31 left.
Expect ILS runway 31 left, Turkish 4 maxima.
So they get sequenced in for the approach to 31 left. Now, I think her English is excellent. Of course, I've listened to this transcript several times, and it's much clearer here sitting in a studio than it is when you're in an airplane, and especially with the landing gear down. So to their credit, they're trying to do all this in a foreign language, in a foreign country, when they're expecting to climb out, and with all that noise up in the cockpit. So I think the crew does a really pretty good job here managing all their checklists. They got kind of fixated on the fuel dumping thing a little bit, and kind of, weren't, the communication was sort of broke down. But the most confounding part about all this emergency, non-emergency thing is the fact that it took them so long to actually explain what was going on with their aircraft. After they got asked for that information, 5 or 6 times, tell me exactly what's going on. And they just kind of didn't. They just wanted to dole it out a little bit. They didn't actually get to declaring that there was a problem until they were almost at 5,000 feet climbing out. That's an eternity with the landing gear hanging out there. So having said all of that, I can't Monday morning quarterback them. I've never had the gear not come up. But if it would, I think quicker in the process, you're going to say something to air traffic control, let them know exactly what's going on, get into that holding pattern, decide whether you're going to dump or not, and then kind of get back to coming back to the airport. They end up landing uneventfully. The airplane gets fixed. Why would the gear not come up? That's a great question. All right. There could be a mechanical problem with the handle. There could be a hydraulic problem that the gear is just not coming up. There doesn't seem to be much of an indication of that. The one that's the hardest one to reconcile and the most embarrassing is if the gear pins were left in the gear. So what are the gear pins? Each one of the gear, the main mounts and the nose gear, have a little hole, and they put a pin in it. And that pin keeps the gear from raising, from coming back up into the airplane. Now, why in the world would you want that? Well, in case you're doing maintenance on the airplane and it's in the hangar and you jack up the airplane, you're trying to do something with the gear, or you don't want the gear inadvertently raised while you're on the ground or in one of those maintenance situations, you would put the pins in for safety to make sure that nobody gets hurt by an inadvertent retraction of the gear. Now, having said that, before you go flying, you always remove the pins. I see all the pins removed. And the last one to get removed is that nose gear. And when they push me back off the gate and they tell me to set the parking brake, I say parking brake set, clear to disconnect interphone. That means he can pull his headset out. And at that point, the guy who pushed me back goes and pulls that nose pin out. It's got a big old long flag with it. Think about the key that they hand you to go to the bathroom at the gas station. All right. It's real long and obvious. You can't hide that pin. And then he walks out in front of the airplane and he holds the pin up like this. And I give him a salute. He gives me a salute. And I say to my co-pilot, I got a pin and a salute. And the co-pilot's watching it as well. So both of us verify that that nose pin was pulled out. That way we know when we raise the gear, it's going to come up for sure. I don't know that that's what happened here. It's the most embarrassing thing if it does. And they were trying to troubleshoot. If those pins are in, the gear's not coming up. So again, they got it solved on the ground, and let's hope it was just the pins. Nothing wrong with the airplane, all right? But if the pins are in, the airplane will it'll act just as it's designed to act, and that gear will not come up. Good resolution to all of this. So it's a non-emergency emergency. They landed safely, and I believe a few hours later they got airborne and returned. So now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe. So as a reminder, we're still in the middle of our Make-A-Wish donation campaign. We're going to run that all the way through the end of the month of September. So if you can, click the link in the screen below and make a generous donation if you can to a great, great organization. That's Make-A-Wish.